What are just some of the things the government is in charge of today? And these are just some. I'm not even really scratching the surface. I want to list these. I got a few here. The banks, student loans. Now, there's no student loans out there really available you can get without going through the federal government. Medicine, big pharma, they're in control of that, in charge of that. Home mortgages, they're 60% in charge of all home mortgages. They have all that on their books, 60% of it, the home mortgages nowadays. Medicare, medical insurance, they call it health care. It's just medical insurance for the most part. They have over 60% of that they're in charge of. So if you need a procedure, if you need to do something, 60% of this, you need their approval. If they don't like it, they don't approve it, you don't get it. You're not able to get this medication or the service. Social Security and money printing are the ones that I put on this list. Are they in charge of money printing? Well, technically, no. But they put the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned company, a group of banks, they put them in charge of money printing. So they gave them the okay to do this. So you go ahead and print the money that we're going to use. And as you print this money, the Federal Reserve will pay you interest on this. And that's how that works. So they don't print the money, I guess. The federal government doesn't, but they're in charge of it because they gave the okay to the Federal Reserve for it. So basically, they oversee that whole deal. So why am I talking about this? Well, with all this stuff going on with the CV-19 or CV-19, this corona thing, they are taking more and more freedoms away, and they are not theirs to take. They're ours, and no one else should be in charge of our freedoms, but they're taking them away because of something that they're calling is an emergency. It's an invisible thing that they say we have to do this or else type of deal. Reminds me of some other things, like I've talked about on the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on poverty, the war on all these other deals. It really rings a bell. It's the same sort of deal in my opinion. So what are they pushing now to take care of, take charge of, take control of? Whether they're going to allow them to survive or not, they just want to be in control and do what they will with them. Well, on the docket is the churches. They definitely want to control these churches, and they have for the most part now. Under this, they haven't allowed them to open up, haven't allowed them to operate, and the times that they have allowed them to operate, they've put stipulations in there and rules in there. In order for them to operate, you have to do A, B, and C. If you haven't done A, B, and C, you can't do D, which is the operating, of it. The food supply, they want to be in charge of the food supply, and they're pushing that. I mean, you can see when they're telling people not to eat red meat as much, limited to once a week, because the cow flatulence, cow farts are bad for the environment. I mean, this has been going on. I've been hearing this for years, and it's more and more, it's becoming more and more prevalent in their speeches and their talking points. The airlines, they want to be in charge of the airlines. Do they give money to the airlines? Well, absolutely. They take money from you and I. They steal it. They call it taxes or stimulus packages, and then they give the airlines money and don't get anything back. So that's a way that they start to take over, because they say, airlines, you don't do this and that, we're not going to give you this. They're not fully in charge, but they're trying. They're inching. They're getting there. The automobile manufacturers, and we saw a bunch of this happened earlier this decade when they stepped in and they gave all these GMC and these other companies this money, and then Ford was one that says we don't need the money, and they forced Ford to take the money, and then Ford paid it right back. I mean, I'm not saying I like Ford or I like Chevy or whatever, I'm just stating facts here. But that was, then at that point, they were controlling the automobile manufacturers because automobile manufacturers owed them money. They gave them this money to survive. Mind you, the money they stole from you and I, they gave to these automobile manufacturers to survive. And that was one step. to say, hey, we're powerful. You need to survive. Here's this. Next, it's going to just be overtaking them. And there's going to be no getting their freedom back to operate. All the large social media platforms, companies, your Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, that kind of stuff, as you can see, and I've seen just this year, 2020 has been, how they acted in 2019 versus now, 2020, they're different. Their social media is way different. It's so highly censored. You can't even say certain things. You can't allude to certain things. I'm not talking stuff that's rude and crude. I'm talking just things that might go against the grain, or you can't post something that 2,000 doctors have stated that goes against the narrative of what the politicians or the politicians' couple doctors have said. That goes against their narrative. So even though 2,000 doctors or 3,000 doctors have said this is right, you'll get banned, you'll get deleted, you'll be ridiculed off social media because of that. And citizens' interactions, they want to control citizen interactions. And you can see they have the 6 feet, social distancing, the masks. That's just the start. This is just the beginning. What else are they going to be able to try to control? What else are they striving for? Well, I know everyone alludes to George Orwell's 1984, which is good, and Animal Farm, I think, is a perfect example of what's been going on and gone on this year and continues. But I would say, look at Germany earlier this century, 1900s. Look what happened there. Look at what's happened in Soviet Union, Russia, under the USSR. Look at what's happened under Mao back in the day. Look what happened in Venezuela. This is what's happening. And if people don't start to stand up and say, enough is enough, and I'm not talking about big things. It's the small things. It's the little things. It's how stuff gets implemented. Stuff gets ingrained. It's just this or it's just that. Well, no, it might be just this or just that, but just this and just that leads to this huge deal. My whole life, I've drawn a line for anything, for money, finances, for people, control, people, rules. I've drawn a line, and whether it's on the smallest thing, and it usually is pretty low compared to everyone else, and I stand. That's it. I don't care. Well, it's just this or it's just that. I don't care. It's just the beginning, and I'm not going there. So I just want to make people aware and thinking a little more about what's going on, and to be, just have this conversation with people, friends, family, that kind of stuff. Doesn't need to be in social media, because you'll probably get deleted or fact checked unless you're on better social media sites like float.app, float.app. That I think is a good one, or Parler. So anyways, thanks for watching. As always, stay vigilant, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your wealth, protect your health.